makes sense. Everything good? Okay, cool. So this is kind of the best version we have of this now, and we're still kind of workshopping this, which is why I'm giving this talk a little bit. This is kind of what we decided to do. This whole like remix story with React Router, V1 and V2 was, yeah, building that kind of framework. Then we brought it back into React Router and just made it all one thing. That's our React story, really, ultimately. And what remix was, if you go back like several slides, right? Not to football. This full stack framework built on web fundamentals. That's what we always wanted to build with remix. But because we were centered on React, we only ever got to build like a center stack framework. It really never went all the way to the full stack side that we want, and I'll talk about that more later. It never really went fully to the front end side of it that we wanted. You were still kind of thrown off a cliff, and like you had to figure out, if you wanted state management, you had to figure out what that was, but you also like had to figure out your component library. Do you use like React Aria or like ShadCN or whatever? So you kind of had to pick like the margins of it, and you're really just given this little center stack. It was just kind of a request response handler. Still very useful, but not what a lot of people would mean by full stack. This is why like the Ruby on Rails and Laravel communities kind of laugh at us because we're jokes. So yeah, that's the story of Remix. And so now we're at this point where Remix 3 actually isn't done. I'm not going to be able to show you all of it. And even if it were done, there's way too much to show. I mean, talking about a full stack application, there's a lot. We could certainly do the build a blog in 15 minutes, and that's a talk that I'm sure we'll give at some point. But there's just a lot of pieces that we want to show because most of you are probably coming from a world where you understand what React is. You understand like some other frameworks like Vue and Svelte and whatnot. And I'm showing you something completely new. So there's a lot to build up. So yeah, we're going to look at some code today. And if anything is confusing or if you have a question, feel free to interrupt me. This is going to be relatively loose because there's a lot of stuff I want to show. There's a lot of stuff I want to walk through. And I'm probably not going to get to it all because when do I have to be done by? 8? Okay, I'll try to be done a little bit before then so you're not watching me code for forever. Before I get into it though, who here, so about a month ago, we had an event called Remix Jam. That was like our yearly conference. Who in here, show of hands, watched the talks that like Ryan and or Michael gave? Okay, sweet, so not a ton. So there's gonna be a lot of non-familiarity, which is good because I'm gonna be repeating a good bit of what they talked about. So we're gonna kind of build up a little bit of what Remix is, because Remix it's actually a bunch of different things. It's a bunch of different small modules that build up to this larger framework. And again, we're still building it, so you're not even gonna see the full framework. So this may feel like really in the weeds, and if it feels that way, that's because it is. I'm really showing you the insides of what Remix is to try and build it back up. And then we'll talk a little bit about high vision as we go. Make sense? All right, sweet. So I decided to build this with Cloudflare workers because, of course, we're being hosted by Cloudflare today, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so this is running. So basically, if you start a Cloudflare worker project, this is more or less what they'll give you. I deleted some comments, but that's about it. You pretty much just get a default little object and with a fetch method. Sorry. Felt a burp coming. All right, it's gone. With a fetch method, and that just is your request response handler. It's very, very simple stuff. This should be pretty familiar if you've done any sort of like, server stuff with JavaScript. This is kind of your starting point, right? So we can make this say anything we want. If we get it on a refresh on the left-hand side, it says that. But of course, if we go to like anything, any page, we're still going to see the same thing because we're always returning the response of hello Austin.js. So what we want to do, is if you're doing anything sophisticated, you want to do some sort of routing, right? So we want to say if the request, includes not interactions, that's wrong, that's for later. Like login, we're going to, we'll just return a response that says login. So perfect. Now we have our login route configured, and now we still have like our default is just saying hello. So this is like very, very basic routing, okay? So one thing that we've built is we've built a router, a new router. Go figure, the React routing team made another router that is built on the fetch API. So the fetch API being this guy. So what does this router look like? Well, we have to install it first. Let's do that. So it comes from remix-run. That's like our namespace for everything. So everything's going to be in here, and it's just called, go figure, fetch router. Very, very simple names. I'm not trying to get crazy here. So we have fetch router. It's going to tell us we need a few other things. We're going to just go ahead and install the headers. That's a peer dependency it needs. And then I think that's the only one it needed, maybe. Oh, cookie, there it is. We'll keep installing more things later on. All right, so with this router, we're going to pull in, create not resources, router. And then we're just going to go ahead and set it up. And then with it, we can kind of define different things. We can define, gets, matches, or deletes, post, put, all these different things. So we can say, oh, well, if they're on the main page, I want to return this response. And if they're on the login page, I want to return this response. So you just kind of do this mapping of, URL, like very, very normal stuff, right? Very expressy, right? We're all probably pretty familiar with this if you've done any sort of like setting up a server. So now, when we're fetching with when our worker, gets a request, we're going to patch it through to the router, the fetch router. We're going to call fetch with that request, and then let's change this again, just so that we actually see it's working. And then we can see that it's just pulling out the response that we want, just a simple request response model, right? Very, very straightforward stuff. Let's make sure the login one works. Great, so that works. So we reinvented Express, perfect. So let's see what else we have with this. So one piece of React, or of Remix, that is really important to us, and kind of is table stakes at this point, is like TypeScript safety, right? Being incredibly TypeScript safe throughout the entire thing. So we wanted our router to be fully type safe. To do that, you kind of need to, how do I want to talk about this? Let me step back and say, with React Router, if you've ever used it in the framework mode, or if you use Next.js, you have this concept of file-based routing. Who in here likes file-based routing? It's okay. It's okay if you like it. Who here is like anti-file-based routing? Okay, and who here is like, why are we even talking about this? This doesn't even matter. Okay, cool. Thanks, Riley. So here's the thing. File-based routing is, I gave a talk at React Miami this year about file-based routing and about basically why React routers try to move more and more away from it. There's a lot of issues with file-based routing, and there's a lot of reasons that a React framework wants you to use file-based routing. And there's really good reasons, and I enumerate all those. With Remix, we're leaning into config-based routing, but specifically named routes. And named routes are incredibly important because they allow for that type safety. If you tell me that a route should be is always the name of home or something, then if you ever break that contract, I can know immediately, which is nice. So let's look at what this looks like in practice. So we're going to pull out this object this helper called route, and we're going to create our routes. So now I've declared this little object, and I've just wrapped it up in routes. And we can see we actually have the types. So it already is saying oh, it's a route of this, whatever that any is, and the slash, and then the any and the login. This is nice because you can do log out, and you can say, oh, this is only going to be, I did that wrong, method of post. And the pattern is log out. So you can start defining oh, you should only be matching your log out on these posts. Oh, cool, it wants me to do everything. Now let's do that later, it's too much code. So you can give a lot more definition to what the router is. And this is really nice because these routes, you can use these to actually pull off the different pieces. For example, I'm getting it wrong. There we go, routes. You can get the href of these different things. You can also call match to see if your URL has matched against it. So the fact that it's defined like this allows us to do a lot more good stuff. We also want it separate from our handlers. You may be wondering oh, why am I doing it this way? Why am I, oh my gosh, it's going crazy. Why am I setting up the config over here and then the actual route definitions here? Why don't I keep these all together? This is because as your routes grow, they're going to get huge. You talked about internationalization. If you go to shopify.com, I don't know if I can do this quite right. Yeah, they're crazy in how they do their internationalization. I don't know how to trigger it exactly, but they literally translate every single URL. So yeah. So their route manifest is enormous. It's huge and it's untenable. So they have to have ways to lazy load their route manifest. Now that's an architectural choice they made, but there still are plenty of examples of route manifests that are going to get huge. So having it defined as just code is actually really helpful because then you can lazily load in different pieces. As soon as you tie it to your handler, you're actually combining these two things that you don't always want to be combined. If I just want to be able to get routes, slash logout slash match, and I have to pull in the handler and all this JavaScript and all the modules and all this crap, that's no good. So you want to kind of keep these two things separate in definition and then tie them together and let your types be the contract to make sure that you didn't break them. Yeah, good.
As we kind of do a lot more with routing at Cloudflare, Cloudflare with like our sidebar navigation and all of our app routes, I find that like we need to go back and forth between that match pattern, like the path that you match against, and the real URL. Do you have ways to go both ways, or is it just like the match where you get the URL and it kind of says true or false? I want to be able to like take the actual URL and say, okay, this is the path that.
Like get a pattern from a path and get a path from a pattern. There are ways to do that. I don't know 100%. Let me look at it actually really quick. So if you take routes, I've done this before. There's definitely a way to do it. I think you can do, you can get the pattern. So you can just pull the pattern off like that. You can also do the match. And then I'm trying to remember what the match gives you itself. I think it gives you the URL. I think there's ways to do what you're saying, but I'd have to mess with it more. That's a good question.
Okay, the idea is like, rip through all of routes and just.
Yeah. No, for sure, that makes sense. And you kind of want to be able to go back to them. That makes sense.
What does that .map do?
Okay, so let's switch it to that. So it's kind of tedious to write every single thing like this. Once you have all these routes, you can write .get, .post on each and every one, right? That's kind of crazy. It's fine for certain cases. You can also map your routes, which allows you to then just define, let's see if it'll figure it out for me. There we go. You can just define them as an object. So that's a little bit easier too, instead of having to say like map.get, map. And it knows like this one has to be the post. So it's all still type safe and it knows how to handle these. You can also.
Home and login are like assumed gets because.
Yeah, they're assumed any. They'll match against anything. But you can also do like this kind of nesting thing. So we can do our posts. Ignore some of this. Well, we'll do like show. That's fine. Okay, it'll go crazy. And then you can do like routes.post, so you can define like a subset with the map as well if you want. So the map allows you to just like take a segment of a route and just define that piece basically, if that makes sense. Cool. So I'm actually going to pull in. Do I want to do that quite yet? No, let's do more with the handlers. Okay, so we're just returning responses now, right? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So you said that you're like rewriting Express. Is it like using Express under the hood for the handlers, or did you literally rewrite it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, they literally rewrote Express. So that's a really big piece of. So remember when I was talking about React a lot, and I was kind of annoyed at it? Maybe that came across, right? It's not really just React. It's this reality of we want to be 100% like dependency free. And like I really mean 100%. Our dependencies are like web primitives, like things that already exist in the platform that can be used natively, like the fetch API that's a platform thing. Cloudflare has a fetch API and we're using that one. So when we rewrote this as like this Express alternative, we 100% rewrote it. We're not just wrapping Express. That defeats the purpose because now we're behind Express and we're behind whatever their roadmap is. We're pretty much done with that.
I see that you have this .map link. When you say .map, a lot of people would like associate that with like the .map that JavaScript has on arrays. With this .map, which kind of behaves a little different than regular .map, but do you expect like there's going to be some friction or
I'm not too worried about it. We're still in the .o, so if there are enough people that run into it, but I think the fact that like this isn't an array will be okay, because like if you try to say router.map and then you do a function like this, it's immediately going to get mad at you and say, what are you doing? You can't do that, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay, so let's do something a little bit better than what we have. Let's actually do, let me pull out something else. So we also have these response helpers, which are like really simple stuff. So we can just send like a response. This just automatically sends it as like an HTML response, which is helpful if we actually want to write HTML. It's setting up a bunch of the stuff that you would do, so we don't have to set up that like content type is HTML and whatnot. So we have this little HTML helper, but we also have another one we can install. What is this one? Yeah, HTML template. Let's pull this one up. Because if you've ever done any server-side rendering, there's this big problem called cross-site scripting, XSS, to where you gotta escape your JavaScript. We all know that, right? You gotta escape anything that could be unsafe, so that people can't put in like a script tag or whatever and then run JavaScript on your stuff, and you don't want them to do that. So now we've got this little HTML helper, and that's like a tag template. So now we can just use this as our little HTML creator. So let's see if it'll make me some new ones. Let's see if we can, I don't know, let's see what it does. Make these bigger and better. We'll see how well it does. Oh, geez, it's a lot bigger.
You said bigger and better.
I know, it's a mistake. I went too crazy too early. There's always a mistake. Yep. All right, cool. Let's keep that. Come on. Nope. I'm trying to. I don't know where the button is. It does look good to me. Oh my gosh, I gotta zoom out. I can't see anything anymore. All right. The command Y, I don't know, something's broken on mine to where it's not working anymore, but that's okay. All right. Oh, it's so much bigger and better. All right. I don't know what's gonna happen if I actually post. Okay, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Fantastic. Oh, it added it. Good. It was a GET request. That's exactly what I wanted. All right, cool. Hello, world. Welcome to the Remix 3 demo on Cloudflare Workers. Explore the app, try logging in, or check the post. So yeah, we can now return HTML. So we're getting a little more sophisticated, right? We're not just doing a dumb response with text. We have HTML, and it's safe. It's stripping out the bad characters. So it's doing all this stuff. Okay, this is going to take forever if I actually build out every page that we want. So now is the time when I skip ahead to all the homework that I did before I got here. So I'm going to delete all this stuff. I think we can delete this one. We're just going to import that router. Is that going to work? No, it's not, because I need that one. We need one more. We need remix-run/session. So we have session management built out as well. Again, completely built by us. We don't have any dependencies on this, but we want cookies and session management. If this is going to be full stack, that's just table stakes. You got to have cookie and session management. You also have to have form parsing and all sorts of stuff we're going to get into. Maybe. We'll see. All right, so we've got a router. I must have messed up something. Yeah, I did. Okay, so we got a couple things. We have with our routes, this is our route definition. So you can probably tell we have a little blog going on, right? The canonical, I guess besides the to-do app, to-do apps are for spas, and then blogs are for, I think, server-side rendering. That's kind of the idea, right? So we have some helpers to make this a lot easier. We want it to be really, really easy to get started and to build out your route. So we have the form action helper, and all this does is it just makes a GET, and it makes like a post for an individual route. So our login, you have to have a GET and you have to have an action. We also have the resources, and that just lets you build out a bunch of different, if you're familiar with Ruby on Rails, and I think Laravel, they have this concept of resources, and you have this way to build out just a bunch of stuff for your CRUD operations very quickly. So we have our posts, we want our index, our new, create, so we're just scaffolding out a bunch of different stuff. We also have this crazy sophisticated route pattern stuff going on, which I'll show in just a second. We can. Oh, good.
Can I ask about the only?
Yeah.
What are you filtering out? That's.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's saying only do these ones.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, what you get is you get index, new, show, create, edit, update, destroy by default. So yeah, we're just saying, okay, I only want the index, new, and create. And the reason I did that is in this case, I wanted to do this totally superfluous, unneeded, ridiculous route pattern to show you how cool it is. So now we can define these route patterns. So this will match on anything that looks like that. So you'd have something like, post / 2025 dash, something like that, right? And so in our route matching, when it matches this thing, it'll actually pull out each of these as route params, which is really nice. So again, all that type safety, but also very sophisticated expressive handling. And this is super fast. We have really good benchmarks running against it to make sure that this thing can run really, really quickly. Cool. So that's our route definition. I'm waiting for you, Brad.
I got it.
And now we have our actual router. So our router, we haven't set up anything sophisticated, and back to responses, just because I wanted to show what it all looks like. If I didn't implement something, you're going to get an error because it didn't get implemented. So if someone comes along later and breaks it, or if your LLM, more importantly, decides to do a crazy refactor, it's going to know very quickly, oh, okay, I broke that thing, I need to add this back, which is why when I did that one before, it knew exactly what it needed to fill out because it already has the LSP running, and it can read against that, which is super helpful.
Does this only work with the map, or if you were doing all the individual route dot?
Yeah, it wouldn't know if I was doing the individual ones. It doesn't know that, oh, I didn't implement ever a logout per se. So yeah, that's a good point. So that's where the map is nice, because you can say oh, I'm capturing all the posts and making sure that they're all done.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I've been playing with routing, so I'm still learning a lot. But is there a reason why you build a router object
Yeah, wait, as opposed to building out,
I just build out like 15 routes, toss in some like router builder, and then it will create the object. Like I'm wondering why I'm creating the interface for the routes and then matching it. When if I just to build out the routes, like, could I just build out the type interface from that?
Yeah, you could. You could definitely do it that way. And we do that kind of in React Router. We do some like, mostly for types though, we do type gen, building out of it. We kind of like this contract, and it's something you can build on top of, because you could certainly build it that way and then build it out like you're saying. But we think that this as the lower level primitive is the way to do it versus relying you to do that bundler step yourself. So good question though.
And is this working? This is working without a type gen, right?
Yeah. I've got no type gen running in that. We will not do type gens for Remix. We do it in React Router because like we have to. There's a lot of reasons, but yeah, no type gen. Okay, cool. Yeah, I wanted to show really quick that the idea of the params, just because it is really cool. So if you do have these params, I can scroll down. Yeah, see, you have the params there. You have the year, the month, the day, and the slug already split out. And so you can say like, yeah, edit post, this post, or whatever. So yeah, all super type safe, built out from those, just like literally just strings, which is super cool. You could put these in the same file if you want. I'm keeping them separate just because this is a pattern we like. Okay, so let's actually, let's pull in some handlers. So I'm just gonna look at like the login. Actually, sorry, I almost skipped ahead. Middleware. Middleware is super important in this story as well. Any good router has to have middleware. It took React Router, or Remix rather, originally, like 3 years to build middleware, but that's neither here nor there. So we have like a very simple logger middleware. Let me actually like comment that out so we can see the experience. Doop, 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 there we go. All right, cool. So if we add in our logger, we start getting that log. Yeah, I think it's just this log. You can make it more sophisticated. This is a very simple one. The form data one is nice because it basically automatically calls form data and does that form data parsing, so that when I'm down here and I'm pulling out like a form data, I just already have it parsed. I don't have to do that every single time. So very simple stuff. And the code to this is incredibly simple. Like just go look at it for a pattern. It's like you get your request, you get a next, you call it your next when you want to. If you've done Express, it's very similar. Method override is a nice one. We actually don't use that in here, so I'm not going to talk about it. And then session management is important. I'm actually going to do this so that we can see all these. There we go. So we have like cookie session storage built in. I'm just creating the cookie here using a secret that's not very secret. You all know it now. Setting up the storage and then just passing into the session. And so now anywhere inside of my routes, I can just call like session, and then from session I can pull off what I need to. And we'll see that when we go to like the login route. Let's go to auth. So now we have all our handlers. I've just separated them because again, like let's say I have really big modules, I do want to pull in on these handlers. I just want to keep everything separate and nice like that. It's also just code simplicity. So now we can, the first thing is we can create more middleware and have this kind of layered nested down. So we can have this like required guest on the login page. If you're not a guest on the login page, get out of here. While you're trying to log in again, you're already welcome. So just come on in. And then you have your actual handlers. So yeah, here's like the index one, and here's the action one, and all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to walk through everything here just because there's a lot in here, but I'll show you that little session. We're pulling them off here. We could add more sophisticated checking than this. I'm just doing very simple stuff.
Metadata objects that you can code against, like so you know it fulfills or whatever.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm using satisfies, which is like the best way to do it, and then yeah, it's route handlers, and then you just give it the type of, so that it matches. Yeah, exactly. Good question. And so then, yeah, so you can pull off the user, everything you need. You can pull off a redirect to, and then here we're just like throwing our our HTML. I've got this little template set up. This is just very, very boilerplate stuff for this kind of application that we're doing. It checks the current user, all sorts of stuff. So now we can pull these out. Let's see if it figures it out. Perfect. Perfect. And now we can, yep, type safety survived, which is good. If I deleted like this one, then you'll see that it breaks again, which is good. So you have that contract built in. All right, now I should be able to go to login, and great, we can see slightly less abrasive styles, and that's all built in, which is great. By the way, I was going to show this part, but I didn't know how to do it in a way that was interesting. But in Wrangler, they make it really easy to do assets now, which is nice. You just set up your directory and you say binding assets, and you have assets. That was really hard before, so thank y'all for making that a lot easier. It's the simple things. All right, cool. So let's see if Cursor can just like do everything else for me. Oh, You can do it. I believe in you. There we go. I think you need post ones. There we go. And then let's try and just, yep. Didn't get that one. There we go. And then I think there's a, it's not this, it's marketing. Nope, not markup, you silly goose. There we go. All right, cool. So now,
37.
Yeah, what happened? Oh my gosh. All right, this is where we just do this. Oh yeah, it was more sophisticated for reasons.
What is GRHH?
Get, reset, something like that. Yeah. Grr. Oh my gosh, come on guys. That's what I'm missing, I think. Sorry, I knew y'all wanted to watch me install dependencies. This should get it. Famous last words. It's not. Why? That's what I was doing. You saw how that was going. Okay. I don't know why I didn't have that. All right, there we go. Thank you. a lot of faith. All right, so now we've got our very, very simple application. All the data is fake. I didn't have time to set up the D1 database. My bad. You can edit these. You can update the post, and you can see, yeah, it said that. Didn't keep the new line, but that's fine. We can log in. There's no protection. It doesn't matter what you say. Yeah, exactly. You can post a comment. You can delete your comment. Yada, yada, yada. So very basic stuff, right? But we got a CRUD application. Honestly, not too complicated, really. At the end of the day, it's just, how does that look? It's like, yeah, a couple little handlers. Each of them are like about 100 lines of code, you know, doing some HTML parsing, all that kind of stuff. All right, I wanted to show like one more little thing with like Remix, because so far all of this is like, this is very much a server rendering story. And there's really no like client-side navigation or client-side hydrating or anything like that, right? For instance, like if I go to my post, you can see that every single time I'm navigating, we're actually like refreshing everything basically. So this is true like multi-page app kind of stuff, right? So it feels like we've probably gone a huge step backwards. You know, I said we wanted to get away from React, and now it's like, okay, well, you really threw everything out, right? And that's true. We did throw everything out because we're rebuilding everything back. So I'm not going to show everything. And yeah, if you're hoping this is going to go a certain direction, I'll just say I'm not actually showing the component model. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to build that part out either. But we are going to show kind of another lower level piece, and that is the interactions piece. So let me make sure that this is perfect, set up correctly. Okay, so I had a really dumb idea. When I add these comments, I wanted to be able to like make it easier to not delete your comments. I don't know why you would want that, but basically just a little bit like you have to long press it. You have to take a little bit longer, right, to delete it. So it's a little bit of like a friction to deleting your stuff, so you don't actually delete things. So to implement that, I'm just using JavaScript. So I've got this interactions JS file, and I just need to import that into, I think, my posts. Man, super nested HTML. So it's going to be in the comments. Actually, let's just do it in the template just so we get it in the right spot. And we'll just do it here. I think that needs to be, yeah, like that. That should do the interactions. Okay, cool. So I've got these set up. This is just like, this probably looks, you know, kind of like jQuery, but like even worse. It's just like really, you know, using query selector, all very, very JavaScripty, just like normal, like what you would do if you didn't have bundlers and you didn't have like all the nice stuff that we have today, right? So I've already got this set up. And so to make sure this is working, let's first do, or rather, sorry, so I'm going over all the buttons that have, you know, this data delete form that I already set up. And on each of them, we have this little special like on thing. And this is how Remix is going to handle events. So again, this is very low level piece of it. You're probably not going to use it like this, and we'll talk more about that in a second. This very low piece where we can just start adding things like an on-click handler. And so here I just want to prevent the default and see if I actually set this up right. Ooh, I didn't. Yeah, I knew I was going to do something wrong. Oh, go away.
What's the default?
The default would be submit the form. Yeah. All right, going to go to my cheat.
Are you missing the HTML?
Probably. Let's see if it's loading. Okay, there's the interactions.
That interactions was pending whenever you opened it up. Oh, never mind.
That should be good. It was something else, yeah. Man, I swear this worked. All right,
Inspect the button.
everybody close your eyes. I keep forgetting what it's called. Yep. Oh, thank you. It's like, what in the world? All right, cool. All right, and then I'm going to delete all this stuff. Oop. All right. All right, you can close your eyes. You can open your eyes now. Oop, in theory. Oh my gosh, why is that one? I'm pretty sure what happened was Michael updated all the dependencies and broke everything on me. Classic Michael Jackson. He's always doing stuff like that. Okay, great. Now it doesn't work. That's good. That's what we wanted, right? All right. So I'm hitting delete. Hopefully you can hear my tapping. And there you go. It's not working because I did the e.prevent default. If I get rid of that, and I do have to refresh. Now it works again. Yeah. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to do this like long press kind of thing. So the first thing that we want to do, this is like a little bit silly, but basically what we have, I don't know the best way to talk about this still. This was like the last thing I added, so bear with me. Basically, click, that's a very normal thing, right? Click is like, that's an event handler. We're just doing that. Oh, maybe that's what I did. It's supposed to be click and not on click because we're already on. That makes sense, whatever. Well, this part is the most recent stuff we built. So we have, with interactions, that's what this package is called. It's called the interactions package, Remix Run Interactions. With interactions, we wanted a more composable way to build events. So you have built-in events like click. You can also make your own events. You can extend the event object in JavaScript. You can do all sorts of complicated stuff. In React world, you don't really do that. You just do like on click this stuff. You do like on all these things. And if you've ever used something like React Aria, you use a hook that gives you like a bunch of these properties, and you just spread those across your component. And that's how you do complex event system stuff. So we wanted to make a much lower level kind of thing to do interactions and build these custom interactions. So now we can do things like we can pull out a press event. So we can make something called a press down event. And with that, getting ahead of yourself, buddy. We can, when we start pressing down, we can create this circle, okay? So the create circle part I already set up, so that's why it's magic. But still, we just have that event that says, oh, when you press down, that's not a built-in thing, but we built it on top of the existing events. And this is hidden behind basically stuff that we're already giving you. So we're going to give you all these kind of events we think you'll want, these interactions we think you'll want. And you can kind of build up more complex interactions and compose them together.
What's the difference between press down and mouse down?
I think press down is going to capture this, my enter key, whereas mouse down would not capture that. So it's basically composing mouse down and enter. And pointer events, yes, that's actually a great point, because no one clicks on their phone. We don't talk about clicking, and all the app developers get mad at us when we talk about clicking. So what is going on? Oh, it's outside. Okay, cool. I thought it was like, you'll see, it was just getting crazy or something. All right, cool. Okay, now we want the long press. So this is another built-in one that like Ryan built. And I think there's ways to customize it. I don't remember exactly, but basically this is just going to detect that there's a certain amount of time that you pressed for. I think we can change that, but I don't remember how that works exactly. I'll have to look into it. It's probably the second argument. No, I'm not going to do it. Okay. So now once it's done, I don't think we actually have to do this part, but once it's done, we're going to like pop. Ooh. So it looks like it deleted. Oh, that's why I had, I need to get rid of this part, sorry. Not bad. Yeah, okay, there we go. So it pops and it blows up, which is great. And the reason that we have this piece is because when this actually completes, this is just another callback. Now I recreated callback hell, it's great. Once this completes, we actually want to submit the form, right? So we just find the closest form, we submit it. So yeah, super fine. And then there's a couple other things I want to do here. So for instance, with this, you need to be able to cancel it, right? So if I pull out, I should be able to cancel it. But right now, there's no way to do that. So basically, if we pull like press up, pointer leave, or press cancel, we just want to run the cleanup. And so now, there it goes, there it goes. So I can now cancel it, which is great. So I can add my form back, and I can say, I shouldn't have said that, that was mean, just kidding, they deserved it. And I'd be like, oh no, I really do want to delete it, and it goes away. Yes?
Why are some events in brackets and some aren't?
Yeah, the reason that some are in brackets and some aren't is these are the native events. So click is a native built-in event, so we can just like proxy that and give you it. Same with pointer leave. Press down, we've created for you. That's like a custom interaction, you can see it here. And I could pull like, maybe another way to do it would be like this, and then you could just like, oh, is that not right? Is it a default? Yeah. And then you could kind of see a little bit better where they come from. It might not be star, it might be a default. Oh wait, it's because I'm not in TypeScript, that's why. Anyway. So yeah, those are custom ones we've made for you, and that's kind of the idea is that you can kind of compose these together. You can make your own very sophisticated events. Okay, so I just showed stuff that doesn't look anything like React, and honestly probably looks a lot more complicated than Next.js and Remix, right? So you're all sold. You're all going to use this thing, right? No, why did I show all that? I showed all that because we're zoomed in. We're trying to build an actually full stack framework. So I've already talked about like dependency free. We're trying to be dependency free. We're also trying to build this thing truly full stack. So when we talk about full stack, you got a server and you got a client, right? Normal stuff. We mostly were on the server side today. We're doing a lot of fetch router stuff, and then we did the little bit of the client side stuff. So we actually are working on, this one's bothering me, there we go. We are working on like a bunch of other pieces. So things that we've already built out is mostly on the server side. So we've got like all this stuff for handling your request. We've got a nice little headers package. That was the one that I think it kept making me install. We got a nice headers package for dealing with headers in a really type-safe way. We got like a tar parser if you want it. We got a multi-part parser. We got a form data parser. We actually used that in the middleware. That was already kind of built in. So you have the fetch router. You have all these different pieces. We also have like fetch proxy. We have Node fetch server so that you can actually work with Node, but with the fetch thing itself, because Node, you know, whatever. We all know how Node is. We also have like file storage and lazy file management, so we can actually deal with file management. I was going to do R2, but we actually don't have the adapter for that one yet, but that is in the works, I believe. It's definitely on the roadmap, I know that. And so we want you to be able to like handle files, and this actually uses like the web platform file API itself. It's all built on that, so that this is really cross-platform. The reason I could do all this on Cloudflare today was because we built it in such a way that it can be used on any JavaScript runtime. So this can be used on Bun and Dino and all these different things, and Node, of course. So we've already built out a good bit of the server piece. I didn't even put session in here. That's another one, right? I don't know where that goes. Session, and then another one would be like cookie management. We've created that as well. So we got a lot of different things. We got all sorts of different like middlewares. Yeah, I don't think I did put it down here. And then we get to the client side. So we actually, and I just, oh, good, yeah.
You glossed over
Okay,
the
fine.
thing that I was most excited about.
Yeah, cookies.
/ORM.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't supposed to show that. It was supposed to be off screen. Yeah. And then you got the client side of it. And we've got like, I think this is going to be renamed, but we've been calling it like DOM. And that's our component model. And yeah, Ryan did a really great job explaining that. It's also going to change. So I didn't want to talk about it too much because the API is still like in flux. All that event crap I was doing and all that crazy like query by data attribute stuff, you're not gonna have to do that. It's gonna look more like React, what you're used to. This more JSX oriented, like composable declarative model, but with this like really also nice declarative composable interaction model layered in. And so those two pieces will work really well together, and you're not gonna have to like set all these pieces up together. Additionally, we're actually going to release a framework. I've showed you all the pieces. I'm showing you all the little pebbles. That's not a good. All the little bricks that build up the wall. I don't know. That's a bad metaphor too. We'll come up with a better one. All the different Power Rangers that make what's the giant Power Ranger called? Megazord. Yeah, thank you. That's what Remix is. And so with this fetch router, because it's built on that fetch, like it's built to work with fetch, that's actually a browser API as well. So that can easily be a hybrid hybrid router that works both on your server and your client. Same with DOM. It actually will be able to both generate the HTML, but also generate the DOM elements. And it will have like a hybrid reconciler that handles how you reconcile when things change and whatnot. We also have a component that I definitely didn't have time to talk about. That's called Frame, built very much on the way that iframes are built, where you can have like a peek into a section of your app, but without all the problems that iframes have. And so there are these pieces that kind of bridge the gap. You've got interactions. Oh, I forgot route patterns, sorry. You're supposed to be over here. But also, a really important part to this full story, this full stack story, is you kind of need the UI. We're not going to really convince anybody to give up like just everything that already exists in React without like a good UI story. Like who here uses ShadCN or has used it before? It's like, yeah, at least half the group. And who here like at least knows what ShadCN is? All right, cool. I'm saying nods at least.
Do you know who sheds?
Do it? Yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, for this to be full stack and very easily be usable, we want to actually provide all the components that you would need out the gate. Things like combo boxes, things like menus, things like all this sort of stuff. And we need it to be themable. So we're also going to be shipping a component library and a theming library so that you have all that stuff built in. And then finally, to be able to actually do really full stack stuff, it's so much more than just a server. You actually need a database. And so we are going to make a new database. No, I'm just kidding. We are going to make an ORM layer. And you can use whatever database you want, and there will be ways to like create those different compatibilities. But at the very basic level, we want it to feel like, again, like Ruby on Rails. Ruby is the one with Active Directory, right? Or is that Laravel? I always get them mixed up. Anyway, maybe I'm mixing up two words. But they have their ORM. Say it again? Active Record. What did I say? Is that the Amazon one?
I think it's a Microsoft.
That's Microsoft. Oh my gosh. Active Record. See, I'm not a Rails developer. You should be able to just very, very easily get started with everything you need to build an actual full stack application. So before we were kind of sitting in this world and we were centered on React and we had to use React. But now we want to own the whole thing and we're going to build this whole thing out. And so that's where we're going. And so yeah, if you're on X, if you're not on X, God bless you. If you are on X, our founders, Michael and Ryan, the ones kind of leading this, have been kind of talking about this a little bit more recently about the scope of what we're trying to build. And Michael and Ryan also have kind of hinted that we're actually trying to aim for the first week of March to get the alpha release of literally everything I just showed in this diagram out for people to play with. And so it won't be me building these pieces up for you. You'll just install npm or pnpm install remix, and then you can just go.
So, like, the full stack, how am I supposed to deploy it? Like, where are my deployment options?
Any JavaScript runtime, yeah. Yeah, or Cloudflare, either one.
But do they have a JavaScript runtime?
Yeah, so the nice thing with Snap. The nice thing with Cloudflare is the few things that you actually do need. I thought I was going to get away with it, but I didn't. And this one, what is it, Wrangler? You have so many names for things. Yeah, I did have to use the Node.js compat because we use like the Node crypto for the session management. So with that layer, though, we are targeting that and making sure that at least with that, everything will work. So yeah.
Can you promise no directives?
Yeah, I mean, directives would require, I guess I didn't even talk about we're aiming to also be no bundler. What that means though is like, it should work without a bundler. And if you ever do use a bundler, it should be transforming it. It should be like TypeScript. You're transforming TypeScript into JavaScript. It's a very clear one-to-one mapping. You're not like, it's not directive stuff. It's not like this magic, and it depends what bundler you're using and how they define it. TypeScript is TypeScript. Even JSX is kind of that way. JSX is really just sugar that translates down into this object format that's like creating these things. So those are kind of our two exceptions, and even them we argue aren't exceptions, would be JSX and TypeScript. But otherwise, nothing that requires a bundler. And if you are using a bundler, it's truly like to minify and to bundle things so you can use TypeScript and ship that to the browser, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Notice you said JSX but not React. Does that mean that you're not going to have any like React compatibility?
No, no, yeah. People, I'm 100% sure people are going to build it, but the whole interaction, the whole interaction library that we showed, just like that is our attempt to do a better job than hooks and what we think. So you can build hooks on top of that, and people have already done that, and it's a very fun experiment to do. I'm sure people are going to try and create that. It's not the recommended way. We're at this point where it's like React, honestly, for as much as I've been kind of talking negative about it, React still like is great, and it's here, and it exists, and we're going to keep using it. And we owe a lot to React. Ryan and Michael have their whole career on React. I have most of my career on React as well. React's also like 13 years old, and again, that direction React's heading is not a direction that we personally want to be a part of anymore. And so we're convinced that we should try something different. People keep asking for this. People have been asking for the Laravel of JavaScript or the Ruby of JavaScript, and nobody's built it. And so we're just like, let's just try and build it, actually. And I say no one. I know there are people who have attempted, and I don't mean anything disrespectful to people who have tried it, but it hasn't caught on. There's not been one that has caught on. It's like, hey, this is it. So our bet is if we can actually build the whole thing and you can be productive on it on a greenfield project, then awesome. We're not going to try and convince you to migrate all your React stuff. If it gets popular enough that people want to do that, they're going to do that regardless. That's what happened to React. React was not popular enough at the beginning to where people said, this is so good that I'm willing to invest time migrating stuff over to it.
There's some serious semantic version in this version change.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, another just like random question. In the kind of final demo that you built today, how many times did you call this .update?
0 times because I'm not using the component. Yeah. Well, no, I was just using the interaction API. So this is kind of the other piece of this is like.
Right. You're still using basic.
You don't have to use our component model if you don't like it.
Gotcha.
You can use the fetch router with React. It'll actually work. You can also use our this interaction model with React. I've actually done this in a couple experiments and I'm still playing with it. Like if you like this a little bit better, you can use it instead of like raw DOM APIs. It's a really small library too, so it's not a big deal to just import it and be like, I like that interaction model and how it's built.
I'm trying to get in my head like how many times am I going to call this .update versus how many times have I written use memo and use call
Sure.
and all that stuff.
Yeah. That's totally a conversation for like another day. But yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of a weird question, but I'm wondering, like who exactly is this for? Like who are we trying to convert? Like the mono repo builder, the React haters. Like who is this a good fit for?
Yeah, that's a good question. So.
Who want to write HTMX? Like who?
Yeah, it is. Honestly, actually, it's the people who want to write HTMX. It does kind of fit them a good bit. It also fits the people who like. It fits a lot of different groups, and so I don't want to talk about like. I think the easiest way to talk about it is like we are a Shopify store, right? Or Shopify team. So we work at Shopify. What does Shopify build? Builds e-commerce websites, right? Is this distracting? I can switch to a different one. Website builder. There we go. Yeah, Hydrogen. That's one. Yeah. So we. If you think about the spectrum of websites that you can build just like Wikipedia, and it's like content, pretty much purely just content, maybe a handful of widgets, but really just content. And then you can build linear, which is like web app to the extreme. The most middle thing you can possibly build, in our estimation and what we've kind of seen at Shopify and the type of people who build Shopify stores and the people who build on Shopify is an e-commerce store. It has a great combination of, there's a lot of content in e-commerce. You have to do metadata right for SEO to work. Even in the world of AI with MCP and MCP UI, you still kind of need to have all that data you can generate on the server. But you also do want like a cart interaction. This is a great example of this website that I built. There's a lot of just content, there's a lot of just information, but also I do want things to be, I can't see because of Zoom, I want things to be responsive immediately. I want to see exactly when stuff happened. I want this to open up like a little modal. I don't want to go to a new page just to get to my cart, all that kind of stuff. So for us, it's like, in our estimation, if we can hit that, if you can build a great e-commerce store with this, and it's easy to do this thing, and it's easy to do the actual content piece, we built something really good that can be stretched to those edges. Yeah, so I think that's maybe my easiest answer, but really, I think Ryan and Michael are building it for themselves is actually the true answer, so yeah. Any other questions or thoughts?
I guess when it's done, how quickly could you put something up and
Say it one more time, that last part.
So you're trying to release, I guess, the new framework in March?
Yeah. So we're trying to release it in March. We already have an internal date, and when we're trying to ship it out. And at that point, we're gonna talk a lot more about those things. We're gonna try and show off that, like, how quickly can you build it. We'll publicize that roadmap a lot more. So yeah, right now we're really just trying to. My goal is that you are like, oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna pay attention in March. That's all my goal is. I don't need you to like get onto Remix, and like try this stuff yourself. If you want to, that's awesome. But like that's all my goal is today, and to see if like mostly if. Oh gosh, where to go? Like this diagram makes sense. That's another goal here, honestly, because we're still working on this story. But yeah.
Help you focus a lot on documentation.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
That stuff in React is just a nightmare.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, and to be.
Actually could be a weird competitive advantage.
It's yeah.
Just having something, like name one of the things you're most proud of working on.
Oh, like within all this stuff, or.
Something that you personally like. Which one do you like the most?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I've been using fetch router the most today, so I like it a lot. But yeah.
All right. How easy would you describe that? How to operate it, and how would you, in your mindset, if you're trying to create documentation.
Yeah.
Lonely as dev intern, always.
Yeah.
See your people.
Well, and again, it gets back to like, we've talked a lot about like, this was a resource I didn't know about, Railscast. Apparently these were like how, most people learned Rails. So you're absolutely right. Like we fumbled before, like React Router's documentation. Oh my gosh, React Router, there we go.
It's weird because you think it's something that straightforward, right?
Yeah.
It always seems to come as an afterthought.
Yes, I agree. And fortunately, as the developer relations manager on the team, this is actually a thing I got to influence a little bit. Because I agree with you, it can't be afterthought, it has to be baked in, and we completely agree. Especially in an agentic world where everyone's using LLMs. Yeah.
Now that you can actually interact with it and having it up to date.
Yep.
But like I said, for example, how would you take user feedback? It's like, oh, okay, this is sort of correct.
Yeah.
I ever found that even documentation feedback is usually not prioritized.
Yeah, that's good points.
Like how would I, on this, how do I say this is wrong on this one? Show them, just out of curiosity. Edit the page. All right.
Yeah.
So at least it's more simply, oh man, it goes directly to it.
Yeah, we just make it easy for you. And if you really just want to make an issue, just go here and then hit this button. Yeah. And then there's one that says documentation issue. But I agree, it should be super easy.
Yeah, but it's got to be more simple than that. It's weird.
So how good's the docs so that when I screw up, I can beat the 280?
Wait, say it one more time.
I said, how good are the docs so when I screw up?
The docs, yeah. So we don't have a doc site yet. The docs now are actually pretty decent. Like if you really are like, I want to mess with this stuff, it's all markdown right now. So you can feed that. That's what I did actually. I built this whole thing by just like copying, pasting it in and saying like, this is a new package you don't know. Built something with it, and it does a really good job. Like it built all that stuff. It built all the HTML. I didn't build any of that. That would be crazy. Yeah.
But like I said, did y'all designate a group that just gets those edits and say, hey, this is the priority, we need to take this and update this?
If you're just asking, about the way our team works, everyone kind of works on it all. Right now, we're really in the building phase, but we are still thinking towards documentation. I'm very much on more of the dev-oriented side, so I usually am the one who's like, if we're hearing a lot of complaints and stuff, I am flagging those. I'm paying attention to the GitHub discussions. So yeah, when it sucks, it honestly is mostly my fault. But when it's good, it's also a little bit my fault. But at the same time, I honestly have written maybe like 5% of our docs or 10% of our docs. It's much more of, like you're saying, kind of listening and making sure that we're hearing our users.
Community is important.
Yeah, it is. It's super important, yeah. All right, well, thanks so much. Hope you all, hope you like this.